Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and look at this puzzle. Look at this grid, absolutely packed. It's packed with arrows. It's called a very full quiver by Oddly Even. Normal Sudoku rules do not apply, by the way, in case you're jumping straight to the puzzle, only because we're using the digits 0 to 8 instead of 1 to 9. But we'll look at that in a moment. First of all, I do want to mention, of course, if you like Arrow Sudoku, if you enjoy today's puzzle, check out our Arrow Sudoku app with puzzles by some of the best constructors in the world, and even a few from us. It is one of the 8, is it 9? Well, there are 8 apps you can download. There's one of them you can get 2 of our apps on, the GAS apps, the Genuinely Approachable Sudoku apps, and yeah, that's going to be the one where we can load up future apps like Line Sudoku, which is on the way. Now, what else have we got? We've got Sven's SUDOKU Pad and our merchandise, and of course our Patreon channel. You can find the link to that in the description field as well, where every month we bring you a reward and normally extra video content as well, and crossword solves, things like that. So all going on Patreon, check it out. But the first link is to this puzzle, a very full quiver by Oddly Even. So I'm going to go through the rules and then try and solve it. Normal Sudoku rules do not apply. The digits 0 to 8 appear once in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. 0 to 8. Digits on an arrow, this is normal enough. Sum to the digit in the arrow's circle, so those 3 add up to that one. If like that arrow, you could have repeat digits on it, quite possibly. But it's a fascinating rule set, isn't it? That's really interesting. And it's more interestingly, it's a fascinating grid with almost every cell covered with something. So give it a try on the first link under the video. I don't know what we're going to find here. Judge from the video length how hard it is, but I am going to start now. Let's get cracking. And how the heck do we do that? Right. Well, I mean, an important thing to know is we're going to have a new secret today. Now, sometimes we tell you a secret about 9x9 Sudoku where you're putting 1 to 9 in the grid, and that is the total of every row, column, and box. Well, the good news is there will be the same total, a total that is the same for every row, column, and box in this puzzle, but it won't be 45. Every row, column, and box in this puzzle adds up to 36, I believe, because I've subtracted 9 from the normal 1 to 9 total, and I get 36, which, given that I'm subtracting 9 and adding 0, must be right. No, actually, that's not even what matters in this top row. Okay, what matters is that the minimum value for these 6 digits that I've got highlighted, or 6 cells, remember to include the 0. This is going to be really important, I imagine, today. 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adds up to 15. And that is the maximum for 2 circle cells that see each other. So I think we can immediately fill in 8, 7. We know that this group is a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set. Oh, that's lovely. So the other digit for the row is a 6. And the first full digit we get in this whole grid is the only one not on an arrow or a circle. Isn't that brilliant? That is definitely very deliberately done by Oddly Even. Now, does column 1 help us? It doesn't look as helpful. These 5 cells could, you see, the trouble is it's 5 cells, but they could only add up to 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, they don't only add up to 10, because when you add the same total off the circles, what we learnt in the top row is that the arrow total is the same as the circle total for that row. Now, in this column, we can only use that for 7 of the cells, but the arrow total for those 5 cells must be the same as the circle total for those 2. That's the arrow rules, basically. So if these added up to the minimum 10, you'd have 20 there, and then you'd need another 16 in those 2 cells. That's not quite doable because they can't both be 8. But that means these could add up to anything from 11 to a higher number. I'm going to say that higher number is, I was going to say it was 17. Now, because there's a 7 or 8 already in the column, I suppose the highest that those two can add up to is an 8 and a 6 now because of that cell. So if they added up to 14, then this whole set would add up to 28. And that could be an 8 if we put a 0 in the bottom corner. So it's not very helpful. Row 1 was by far the more helpful thing than column 1. What about the bottom row? We've got 2 arrows again. Well, actually here it's more interesting in some ways. Those could add up to 15. The maximum then for these cells is 30. So the minimum for these two to take us up to the 36 total is 6. And since the maximum for this cell is 8, I think we get these possibilities. Again, it doesn't really advance us. If these add up to 6 or more, I don't know. I mean, I suppose, well, no, it's not actually that helpful because they could have a 0 in instead. We must have to find combinations, I suppose. What about this group of cells? These cells add up to the same as these two circles. Now, the minimum for these are, we've got a 0, 1 or 2 there, so the minimum for these is now 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, which I think is 13, plus, I suppose it could be 0 again. I can't even prove that there's a repeat digit, because these could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these add up to 15. And I don't know if it would help if I could prove that that was a repeat digit in one of those cells, but I can't. Okay, let's try the bottom 2 rows. Okay, that could be interesting. Now, all of these arrow cells I've highlighted, which add up to these circle cells, right, the minimum value along the bottom, now we're adding 6 into the mix. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 21. These are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minimum, that's 15. We're up to 36, plus, well, I suppose 0 again. Plus 0. 36. The max, okay, actually that's interesting. The maximum for the red cells, you could have 15 in row 9, 15 in row 7, that's 30. And then this cell has to be at least 6, and it can't actually be 6. That's quite interesting. Now there are other ways you could cut these red cells that have to add up to at least 36. You could take those two being at least 15, and those two being at most 15, and those two being at most 15, 30, and that has to be at least 6. Oh, and you could take these two being at least 15, and these two, or at most 15, sorry, and these two being at most 15 is 30, and that would have to be at least a 6, which we worked out already. But there's still 2 degrees of freedom there. Now, okay, here's an interesting thing about those 2 degrees of freedom. If these weren't 8, 7, if these were 8, 6, that would use up both degrees of freedom, because the red total would have fallen by 1 and the yellow total would have increased by 1, because these would now have to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those 2 degrees of freedom could get used up quite quickly. But what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to find some combination of arrows. Maybe a box with a lot of arrows in it. So, okay, let's forget the ones I was doing. I mean, they were interesting enough, and we've got some notes in the circles as a result. I'm going to look at other arrows and circles now. And this might not work either, but let's see. Now, these yellow cells in this box, the minimum there, we're up to including 6, so that's 21. Plus, well, what's the maximum in the circles? It's going to be a lot more than 21. 8, 7 there. I suppose 2 more 8s. 31. That's no good. Oh, what am I missing? Somewhere. Oh, no. Of course. I was going to say somewhere in this puzzle, Oddly Even has concealed a group of arrows that are really helpful. I think what he's done, well, this is a theory. He's packed them all in. We're meant to consider every blinking arrow in the puzzle. I'm going to try this. I'm sure you don't need me to do this colouring, but I'm doing it anyway because it's fairly swift. Colour all of those arrows. Look, this could be why every cell in the puzzle has either a circle or just one arrow passing through it, apart from that 6 that we had at the top. Right, I'm going to need a new secret total. I'm familiar with when you enter 1 to 9 in a Sudoku, the whole grid adds up to the number 405. I do not know what that number is for a 0 to 8 Sudoku, but it's going to have to be each box times 9, because there are 9 such boxes. Each box is 36. You can do 36 times 9 in your head quicker than I can, because it's 270 plus 54. It's 324. That sounds right. That sounds like a square number, so I think that's right. Right, 300. It is. I mean, that must be the square of 18. There you go. Right, 324 is the total of this grid. It must be. Take out that 6. Yellow and red adds up to 318, and yellow must be equal to red because each yellow arrow is equal to its red circle. What number did I just say? 318 divided by 2 is 159. Yes. Just going to stick that as a little aid memoir in the corner because those numbers are in order. 159. Now, what have we got in terms of the circles? Let's go row by row. Okay, what I'm going to imagine is that row by row we have the maxima. 8 and 7, 8, 7, 6, 8 and 7. So 2 rows with 2 circles, 3, 4, 5 rows with exactly 2 circles, and 4 rows with exactly 3. So that's 9 lots of 8 and 7. 15 times 9 is 135. And 4 6s would be the next biggest digits. Yes! Yes! 135 plus 24 equals 159. That is exactly what Oddly Even has done. They've created a grid in which the red circles have to be maximized and thus the yellow arrows have to be minimized. So, in every row in which there are 2 circles, we can make them 7, 8. And actually we can do better than that. And I mean, then the corollary is that in every... look at that. We can get rid of those 6s. In every row in which there are 3, we could put 7, 8, 6. But rather than do that, since this magic works for every row and then for every column and every box, we can pick up some of the other cells. So in column 2, there's only 2 circles. So they're both 7, 8. And in column 3... and in column 6 and 7. And then maybe if we do it by boxes, we'll find another 1 or 2. Oh, look, box 6. They are both 7, 8. And in the columns in which there is a third one, oh, look, box 7 as well. There we go. So now we have 4 cells left. that can't be 7 or 8, I think, in any case. Those are the 4 6s we calculated. Bingo. And in fact, not only did we start with a 6, which is a bit odd because it's quite a middly digit, but the next 4 digits we've put in have been 6s as well. This is crazy times. Right, let's look at these 6s then. There's another 6 there. There's one in one of those cells. There's one in one of those cells. Now that is quite interesting because one of those 6s has to be on one of these arrows and is with a 0. So one of those 2 cells is a 0. Oh, there's another 6. That must be a 6. There are 4, I think there are 4 6s looking at this box, so we can just fill in the last one. Right. These 2 cells have to add up to no more than 2. Now they could be the same as each other if they were a 1. This 6 needs a 1 or a 2 on its tip. Oh, you can't have a 0 here because obviously the other cell on the arrow would be another 6 in the same column. So there might be quite a few arrows where you can't, well, there are some arrows where you can't put a 0 on. Not as many as I'd hoped. That one. Oh, actually that one. And there's a cell you can't put a 0 in because, again, the other cell on its arrow would then clash with its circle. I don't know, there might be others, but ruling 0 out of those cells, it doesn't tell me, okay, it tells me there's a 0 on this arrow. That's about all it does. In column 1, you can't put a 0 there or there. I don't know, that wasn't probably the right next step. What am I meant to do next? I don't know. Bit of a hiatus here. Might go back to column to rows 7 and 8 and just see. I'll tell you what I can do. I can colour the 7s and 8s. So yeah, there's one green and one blue, say, in every row, column and box. So if that's green, that's blue, that's green, that's blue, that's green, that's blue. Oh, let's just pick up the others. That's green, that's green, that's green, that's green. I'm just looking around the whole grid now. That's green, that's green. So those ones are green and the others are blue. In fact, why, oh, not that one. Why don't we stop them being red anymore, all of these things? So let's take out redness. There we go. We have yellow. In fact, we don't need the yellow really. That's just the arrows. Okay. So now we've got green and blue 7s and 8s. Yeah, and this is telling me some things, like that is a 7-8 pair. So these add up to 15. Now, maybe I can do these rows again. Let's just see if this has helped at all. So those cells, actually we know what they add up to in the bottom 2 rows at least. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is exactly 15. Here it's exactly 21. That's 36 in the yellow plus whatever that is. And the greens, we've got 2, 1 of each counting there, 1 of each counting there. That's 30. Plus that is 37 or 38 once we add in this, which is therefore 1 or 2. And that didn't let me fill anything in. Right, hang on. These add up to 15. With these, they add up to 30. This pair adds up to 6. This is not a 0. It's 1 or 2. So I'm getting quite a few disparate 1s and 2s. in this row, whichever one of these isn't a 6, 0 arrow has the other 1 or 2 on it. It's either 1, 5 or 2, 4. This is 1, 5 or 2, 4. Okay. I'm getting a bit interested in colouring the 1s and 2s now. So let's choose some colours. I'm going to get rid of that yellow again. Let's choose blue and orange, or dark blue and orange. So orange for that one. Then there must be a dark blue on this because we know there's no 0 on it. So one of those is a dark blue 1, 2. I don't know. This isn't really actually helpful, is it? Where's 0 in this row? It's not there. It's either on that arrow or this one. Ooh, it struggles to be on this one, doesn't it? If 0 was on this arrow... Oh no, it could be 0, 5, 2 equals 7. What about this box? That's a bit strange. These cells add up to double blue. Either 14 or 16. These ones, somewhere between 10 and 15. It doesn't do anything. Okay, not that. Oh, this column. Right. That lot adds up to 12. The 2 big cells add up to 15. That's 27. This group is either 7 or 8, depending on what blue is. So we're up to 34 or 35. This is a 1 or a 2. That is the colour orange, because it's not blue. Interesting. This cell, certainly not a 1 or a 2. It's at least a 5 and maybe a 6. Quite likely to be a 6. So where's the blue in this row? If it was here, that would be a pair adding to 3 and one other cell. But it could be here. Orange must be in one of those two. It's almost like something worth having. Does a 7 or 8 arrow have to have a 1 or a 2 on it? No, it could be 0, 3, 5. This is weird. I just feel there's a way into this that I'm not getting. Oh, this arrow can't have a 0 on it either. So it has a 1 or a 2 on it. Can't have a 0 on it because there'd be another 6 in the box then. In fact, where is 0 in this row? It's not there. It's not going to be here because that would be a green cell. It's in one of these two cells, 0. That's quite interesting because whichever one it's in, that can't be a 0. If it's there, the arrow won't add up, and if it's there, it's looking directly at it. So that's not a 0. There is a 0 in one of these two. That's a weird finding. And that started because I wanted to know if there was a blue or orange on this, and I didn't. Oh, this is now blue or orange. This might be as well. Right, if this was a 1 or a 2, actually it can't be a 2 anymore because that would get the total up to at least 9. Okay, if this was a 1, that would be a 1 as well. But I don't even know if there'd be blue or orange. Bother. there's some box I need to be adding up. Those add up to 15, for instance. Ooh. How are these made up? These... I don't know. I feel like I need to be doing more work on zero. Oh, look. Oh, this is... Okay, I can do a bit more work on zeros. One of those is a 0 because one of these is a 6-0 pair because one of those is a 6. So if one of those is 0, that isn't. So now 0 in this box is in one of those two cells. 0 up here must be in one of those 3. 0 down here, I don't want to mark that because it messes up my pencil marking a bit. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just... Right, okay, what places can't be 0? So let's start with row 3. We isolated 0 down to one of those two. Right, 0 can't be in any of these big numbers, obviously, or in any of the cells I've marked with other candidate pencil marks. So 0 can't be in any of these to start with. Now, 0 also can't be anywhere in row 7 that's not one of the cells going with 6. It's getting interesting. We're getting rid of quite a lot of cells that can't have 0 in. Oh, that's quite interesting. This can't be a 0 either on the tip of this arrow, because that would put another 0 on the arrow, and then the third digit would have to be the same as was in the circle. We've got 0 isolated in box 4 on the arrow, so those are all out. Ah, it's interesting, but it's not quite conclusive. I wonder, it feels like I could make something of this. This cell wasn't 0 as well because of the arrow. Right, 0 in row 4 has 2 spots. Is there some weird X-wing on zeros? There could be. I don't think I'm good enough to spot it if there is, though. I just might have to give this up now. But let's just look at the... Okay, I'm quickly going to flash yellow all of those cells that can't be 0 that I've identified. So here we've got either a 1-5 or a 2-4 pair. This has to have a 1 on it now, this arrow. It's either 1-2-4, 1-2-5 or 1-3-4. It feels so close. Oh! Right, let's get rid of that yellow again. I've just seen something else that matters. This, orange plus 6 equals green. Orange plus 6 equals green. That's a 6. Wow. That is just like algebra in the middle of a Sudoku puzzle. Simon sometimes moans about having to do Sudoku. I can tell you I'd rather do that than algebra. Okay, so that gave me a 0. Now I know where 0 is in this row. Let's just recheck that. This can't have a 0 because that would be the same as that. This can't have a 0, or can it? Because that would be green and it can't be. This now can't have a 0 because we've put one in the grid, and that can't have a 0 or the other digit would be 6. It's correct. This is a 0. Annoyingly, that doesn't tell us whether this is a 1 or a 2. Now keep going with zeros first, and then we will go back and start thinking about, right, there's a 0 in one of those two cells. There's a 0 in one of those 3. Somewhere here, that's not so good. Oh, there's a 0 in one of those two now. and one of those two. Well, that's highlighted a few more possible zeros. Now, has that done any more for ones and twos? We've got a new one here. Got one that's been here for a while and one there. How can I match these into these ones and twos I started highlighting, or do I have to go somewhere else? Right, let's think about that 15 with that cell. I don't know, it's still a minimum 10, maximum 14 there. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. Right. Okay, how about the fact then that orange, if orange is low out of 1 and 2, then green is low out of 7 and 8. What does that do? I know the answer is going to be nothing. Is there any other orange to green mapping that's just screaming at me? I don't think there is. Oh gosh, what now? Half an hour in, dear me. I have been pretty slow with some aspects of this, I know. One of those is orange. If orange was 1, it would have to be there. Then blue would be 2, and light blue, bright blue would be 8. I just don't know. I've got all the 6s done now completely. They're all done, and just a couple of zeros. That's actually all the digits I've fully marked in the grid. That's really sad. I need more. I need many more. Oh, bother. Okay, this pair can't have a 6 on. So they're from 2, 3, 4, 5. There's certainly no 0 in either of those. In fact, how do we get up to 8 without a 6 or a 7? We would be 5, 3. It's difficult for green to be 8 there. But it's not impossible. Now, what about maybe 1, 2 in this row? One of them is here. Can almost, and those two cells can't be 0, but that could be. Okay, this box, let's just add it up again. If that's, no, if that's orange and is a 2, because it couldn't be a 1, because 1's on that arrow. Right, if orange is there, then these add up to 0, 1, 3, 4, 5 feels like it's 13. Plus that cell will make either 14 or 16. Now, I've just had a totally different thought. 3 can't be on this 6 arrow. So 3 is on this arrow, which is therefore either 0, 3, 4 or 0, 3, 5. So the other one of 4 or 5 is up here with the other one of 1 or 2. That's not orange. Is there anywhere else 3 can't be, especially on a 6 arrow? It can't be in those cells. In fact, oh, of course, there is a 1 or a 2 on those cells, so we can mark them dark blue. That becomes orange. Now, that's either 8 with a 1 or 7 with a 2. So these two add up to either 7 or 5 now. I don't know what that is, so I don't learn the parity of that. These are 7 or 5. There's 21 in the circles, and that's 28 or 26 we're up to. This then takes us up to a variety of possible totals. Bother. Those two can't be zeros. That can't be a zero. Let's just keep going with the colouring. Right, orange, orange. Is that orange, or could that be... It could be a repeated orange on this line. I feel hopelessly inadequate here. Is there a blue there, or could blue be on one of those two and therefore in here? I've got this cell is a 1 or a 2. Is there a 2 here? Because that would be dark blue. Not necessarily, that could be 3, 4 or 3, 5. Actually, it's very likely to be 3, 4 or 3, 5. But at the moment it could be 2, 5. Gosh, this is a struggle, isn't it? I don't even know the colour of the 1 or 2 on this arrow. I want to, and I don't. I can't say for sure there's not a 2 on there and that is a 2. That would be interesting. That's now, that sees both flavours of 1 and 2. It also sees 7, 8, 6 and 0. That is 3, 4 or 5. Well, okay, that's interesting. Now, this total is 15. Minus 3, 4 or 5 makes this lot add up to 12, 11 or 10. Somewhere between 10 and 12, plus the 21 in those bigger numbers, 31 to 33. These two add up to somewhere between 3 and 5. So these have to include a 5 as well as a 0. That's interesting. Where's the 5? If it was here, it would have to go 5, 0, 3. That would be an 8. That would be a 7. You couldn't make up the 7 because 6, 5 and 3 would all have gone. Is that right? 6, 1, 5, 2, 3, 4. Yes. That's not a 5. There's a 5 in one of these cells. That's not a 5. That's not a 1. Now, what else? What else is here? If 5's on this, if 0's on this arrow, that's impossible. This arrow's never been allowed to have a 0 on. I just didn't, I think I mentioned it earlier on. I just never spotted it now. That's a 0. That's a 0. Oh, slow to eliminate zeros. Right. That's a 0 by Sudoku. Interesting. That's a 0. How am I doing on zeros? Still got 3 of them to put in. Okay, but this one, now here, what do we have to make up this 7 or 8 total? Somewhere between 2 and 5. No, it can't be 5. We've worked that out. 2, 3 or 4. I want to narrow this down a bit. This is either a 3, 4 or a 3, 5 pair. That is either 1, 2, 1, 5 or 2, 4. What about this one then? There's a 5 on this and it adds up to 7 or 8. So it's a 5 with a 2 or a 3. So the 1 in this box has to be in one of those cells. Does that do anything for 1s? Not really. But these have to add up to somewhere between 3 and 5. Okay, this is quite likely to be where the 1 is. The trouble is, this looks like there's 2 possible totals for this group of 3 cells, but there isn't. There's many more. Because that could be 5, 3 with a 4 or a 2, or that could be 5, 2 with a 3 or a 4. Ah. 3 in the column. Oh no, I was going to say it can't be here. That's not true. Oh, it's nearly true. It's not true though. Right, I need to find something else, don't I? Ah, these 2 add up to the same as that now. Well, they've got to have a couple of proper digits on there, not little. They can't have a 1 on? Is that right? That is right. The 1 in this row, I think it's placed. If you were to put a 1 on there, it would be with a 6 or a 7. That's impossible. Right, that's the 1 in row 5. Oh! That has told me that orange is a 2. Okay. Okay, come on now. 2 there. 2 there. I can call 1 blue, can't I? So that's not blue. That's definitely blue. Right, orange. One of these is a 2. Come on, come on. Think slowly, carefully, and clearly. If that's a 2, this is 4 or 5. That's easily done. Orange. Oh, there's no 2 here. So there must be a 3 on this 7 or 8 total now. 6, 7, 8, 2, 0, 3. So these are from 1, 4, and 5. Now, how about these 1s? That is a 1. There is a 1 here. This is a 1, 5 pair. There's no 5 here. That is a 3, 4 pair, and light blue is 7. Yes! And green is 8, and now we're off to the races. Now, surely, we're off to the races. Where do we start? 2, 6, 8. That's worked. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's been available ever since I put the 2 there. Never mind. 3, 4 pair. 1, 5... 0, 3, and 4 up here. That's not where we start. We need to do some of these totals. Like that one. That's eminently doable. We get a 1 there. One of these is a 1 now. On an 8 total. Could be... Oh, it can't be 1, 3, 4 because of that. So it's 1, 2, 5. So this has to be a 2. That is a 1, 5 pair now. This is a 3, 4 pair. On a 7 arrow, I want to say that can't be a 3, because that would be a 3. Yes, that's a 4. That's a 2. That's got a colour. This one hasn't. This is a 3. That's a 4. Now here, none of these have a 2. We have a 3, 5 pair. That's right. This is a 4. That has to be a 3 to make the 7 total work. Then we have a 1 here and a 5 there. Oh, this is happening now. 0 and 3 here, 5 to complete the arrow to an 8. 7, 0, 3, 5, 8, 6. Well, this is a 1, 4 pair to complete the 7 arrow, and that is a 2. Let's keep the colour going. Just spotted that one. That looks like a 2. Interesting. How is this 7 getting made up? 0, 2, 5. It works! Come on! Oh, what a relief. That's a 3. That's a 5. Now, keep colouring the 1s. 4, 1 is blue. Dark blue. That's 1 and dark blue. And there's going to be 1 up there. This is a 1. Let's just... I was going to say, let's just fill these numbers in along the bottom row, but of course I then get stuck not knowing what one of them is. 2, 7, 4, 8, 3, 6, 5. 1 and 0 up in these cells. 3 and 5 in these. Now, some of these 7s or 8s are going to spill their secrets in a moment. This is a 3-5 pair now. In fact, I know the order. So that's a 1. That's what we worked out. That's good. This is a 4 to finish the box. That can't be a 5, so that's a 3. That's a 1, 0, 5. This is a 4. Come on, it's got to keep working. 5 and 1. Right, let's finish off the colouring such as it is. We need 1s there and there. They're blue. And the oranges, well, we can see where they are now. There we go. They're all 2s. Okay, so that's a 1. In this row, 3 and 0, like that. This is a 3-4 pair at the top. That works for the 8 arrow. And now we finish off 0, 3, and 4 and 3 down here. What a lovely puzzle. That's something else, isn't it? The solution is correct. That's what I like to see. What a fantastic bit of work by Oddly Even. That's so weird. And that conceit of working on the whole grid took me a long time to see, but I suppose that makes it more satisfying. Thank you, as always, for watching us on the channel. If you have, we are very grateful for your company. We know there are many other things you could do with your time, and the fact that you choose to spend some of it with us is a blessing and a privilege. Thanks to Oddly Even especially, and see you all next time. Bye for now.